Fear, it's something we all know, something we all feel. Maybe it's the fear of failing, the fear of being judged, or even the fear of trying something new. Whatever it is, fear holds us back, it keeps us from becoming the person we want to be. But today, let's talk about how we can push ourselves to face fear, how we can learn to live with it, not run from it. Let me start with a story. Years ago, I was a young student living in a monastery. One day, my teacher took me to a tall cliff. He stood at the edge and said, "Look down." My heart raced, the drop was steep, and the ground below seemed so far away. Then he said something that startled me, "Jump." I froze. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What if I fall? I asked. He smiled calmly and replied, "What if you fly?" That question stayed with me. I didn't jump that day, but I left with an important lesson. Fear isn't the enemy, it's the challenge we must face to grow. Fear feels so real, doesn't it? It feels like a wall, stopping us from moving forward, but if you look closely, fear is just a thought, it's our mind imagining the worst, even before we take a step. Let me ask you this, what is your fear telling you right now? Maybe it's saying, "You'll fail if you try," or, "People will laugh at you," but have you ever stopped to ask, what if my fear is wrong? Here's a simple truth, fear grows when you avoid it, but when you take a step toward it, fear begins to shrink. It's like standing in the dark. At first, it's scary because you can't see what's there, but when you light a small candle, suddenly the darkness isn't so overwhelming. Facing fear is like lighting that candle. It doesn't have to be a big step, it can be as small as speaking up in a meeting, trying a new skill, or reaching out to someone you've lost touch with. Fear is like this pebble, if you hold it close to your eye, it blocks your entire view, but when you hold it at a distance, you see how small it really is. It's all about perspective. So, how do we change our perspective? Start by asking yourself, what's the worst that can happen? Often, the worst isn't as bad as we think, and even if it is, ask yourself, will I survive it? Will I grow from it? I remember a time when I was afraid of speaking in front of a crowd. My voice would tremble, and my hands would shake, but my mentor told me, the best way to beat fear is to do the very thing you're afraid of. So, I started small, I spoke to one person, then two, and slowly, I grew more confident. Today, I speak to many people, like I'm speaking to you now. That fear didn't go away overnight, but each small step made it weaker. Now, let me share one more important lesson. Fear isn't always a bad thing, it's a signal that you're stepping into something new, something challenging. When you feel fear, it means you're growing. Think of a butterfly breaking out of its cocoon. Do you think it's easy? No, it struggles, it pushes, and it's probably scared, but that struggle is what gives its wings strength to fly. So, the next time you feel fear, don't see it as a stop sign, see it as a green light. Take one small step forward. Maybe it's just writing down your goal, maybe it's practicing for 5 minutes, whatever it is, take that step. And when fear tries to stop you, remember this, fear is temporary, but the strength you gain from facing it lasts forever. Now, I want you to think about one thing you're afraid of. Close your eyes and picture yourself taking the first step. Feel the fear, but don't let it stop you. You can do this. Thank you for spending this time with me. If my words touched your heart, share this message with someone who needs to hear it, and remember, you are stronger than you think. Until next time, stay brave, stay mindful, and keep growing.